Welcome to VGK Today, a daily podcast providing you an inside look at the Vegas Golden Knights 2025 Stanley Cup playoff run. I'm Justin Russo with the Golden Knights on Sunday, April 27th, after Vegas tied their first round series with the Minnesota Wild on Saturday with an overtime winner from Ivan Barbashav. Vegas fought tooth and nail in Game 4 to avoid coming back home down 3-1, and they were successful in their endeavor, as they have now reset the series and reclaimed home ice ahead of Game 5 on Tuesday. We'll take a short break real quick, and when we come back, Dave Goucher is going to help run us through the magic of Game 4. Golden Knights fans, you can experience the excitement of playoff hockey firsthand with a limited number of tickets still available at the Fortress for Game 5 coming up on Tuesday. Visit VegasGoldenKnights.com to learn more. Also, the Vegas Nighthawks are back at Lee's Family Forum on May 3rd and May 10th. Catch the fast-paced, family-friendly action of indoor football with tickets available at nighthawksfootball.com.
Well, what a Game 4 for the Golden Knights in St. Paul. We'll start in the third period, where the Wild had gone a combined 31-0 when leading after 2 this year. But it was a very unconventional setup that led to the Golden Knights grabbing the lead.
The offensive zone draw for the Golden Knights. Hurdle, Stone, and Howden, the trio now. Stone on the boards. Couple of steps, feeds it down, won't score! Hurdle was in a battle in front with Hartman and went off Hurdle and in to give Vegas the lead.
But less than a minute later, the Wild tied it. Bruce Cassidy said he pondered a challenge. The Kings had a challenge go against them the night before, and they're lost to Edmonton.
Puck in deep, Boldy behind the net. Golden Knights with the lead. Middleton straight away with a wrist shot. Locked in front, Robertson! Score! Jared Spurgeon! The Wild come right back to tie it.
Goalie interference, those are tough because, he's got his arm on the goalie. It does prevent him to getting across, but Theo probably pushes him in, right? That's how we end up thinking at the end. How are they going to think about it? Dave, our video guy, does a great job. He watches them all, so he knows kind of listen, it can get random at times, those. You never know, but I do believe there's a certain amount of protocol that you can look at and best guess because of that. We felt that Theo probably initiated contact, and I don't think Kaprizov was in there to start. So he ends up in there, but that's how we figured it. I'm not saying it wouldn't have came back. I'll never know. But it would have been a tough one if it goes the other way twice, right? I think if that had been a go-ahead goal to make it 4-3, we'd probably think of it differently. The timeout was called to look at it longer and to sort of reset our bench. So either way, we're going to get use out of that timeout, get a little extra look, but also get our guys, hey, you know what, we're playing well. Let's just get back to work. So that's how we looked at it.
And that set the stage for a crazy overtime. Let's play our version of who did it better. TV, radio, or Spanish radio with the call.
With a steal, Smith. Smith looking to move it in down low. Center to Middleton. Blocks it. It's loose in the crease. Score! Ivan Barbashav puts it home. The Golden Knights win to tie the series.
Face-off on the right. Watt toward the outside. Faber took it away from Barbashav. Minnesota gives it away. Smith on the right side. Backhand centering off Middleton. Trickling in the crease. And they score! Ivan Barbashav right in the blue ice. Vegas wins in overtime 4-3 with 2:34 left in the first OT session. And the series is tied 2-2. Riley Smith forced Minnesota into a turnover deep in its own zone. Got the puck into the crease. Ivan Barbashav right there to force it through Gustafsson. And the Knights win it 4-3.
Y vaya que recupera el equipo de Vegas Golden Knights. Riley Smith por el costado izquierdo, lo pone frente a la portería. Queda poca la deriva. ¡Gol! Ahí está, señores, la recompensa al esfuerzo, al no bajar los brazos. ¡Qué bárbaro y qué manera de celebrar por parte del equipo de los Vegas Golden Knights para poner esta serie 2-2! Alejandro Romo, háblame.
Well, we are really blessed as Golden Knights fans to have some of the best announcers in the game. Dave, of course, had that first call on Scripps Sports, Dan Duva with the English radio call on Fox Sports Las Vegas, and Jesus Lopez with the Spanish radio call on Deportes Vegas, 1460 AM. And a big thank you to Jesus for sending along his call. Fun to get all of the different perspectives on that Ivan Barbashav game winner. Jubilation for Vegas on Saturday, and again, it positions them well in this series that now becomes a best of three with the Knights having home ice yet again. We'll step aside once more, and when we return, we'll go around the VGK locker room, hear the rest of the post-game comments from Bruce Cassidy, as well as post-game thoughts from Shea Theodore and Nic Roy. Golden Knights fans, be sure to grab the official VGK mobile app, as it's the easiest way to keep up with the team. Plus, fans with the app will have a chance to win tickets to select playoff games. Download it today for Apple or Android. Also, stay tuned for details on more watch parties coming up, because Game 6 is officially going to happen now after Ivan Barbashav's game winner. See what the Golden Knights have planned for Game 6 in Minnesota, as it's the best way to experience the excitement of the Fortress while the guys are battling on the road. Let's start our trip around the VGK locker room with the head coach, and here's some of the rest of what he had to say after Game 4.
Wanted to get those bounces, those last two goals, the definition of getting those bounces.
Well, the hurdle one is for sure. Even though I've seen Mark Stone do some really smart things that you look after and go, wow. And in the moment, you're not sure, right? Because he's firing from that boards I can't see on the ice. Then you watch it. It's like, I think he's firing it over there with a purpose. And we get the break on that one, right? So the last one, I don't know if that's puck luck, because all their goals happen their third one happened like that. Their second one was a bit of that, a shot and a rebound, right? So that's a little bit of playoff hockey where you converge in the net and find a puck and, hope that the goalie hasn't tracked it quick enough. But certainly the hurdle one, we would probably do one of those. Theo's was a good screen. Their first goal was great forecheck by them. Good play to the front of the net. We didn't react quick enough. So, but yeah, that was a big goal for us.
Not the first time you've shuffled the lines, but when you did make those changes, what were you looking for? And obviously the results came out of it, but what were you looking for?
Jack and Stoney are two drivers, and we've said that many times, that in a perfect world, they probably, if the year had played out a certain way, probably would have been split at some point, but it worked out. They got such a good start, to the start of the year. Other things fell into place. And they just, for whatever reason, weren't clicking, so sometimes a little time apart. The Carly on the left wing was just something that Jack has killed penalties with Carly. I think they have good chemistry, even though they're both centermen and probably not play together very often, if ever. Just give Jack a spark. They're matching Boldy up against him, so now you have two centers, so it can work. It can be good on both ends. So. And then the other lines, Nic Roy and Smitty had played together. When Smitty first got here, I think Carly was hurt, right? So Columbus, Pittsburgh trip, I thought they played well together as a pair, so that we knew we could go to. And Barbie's always been, when you drop him down with Nick, and it's usually Colasar, he's had some good games. So I didn't mess with the hurdle line, and then it was kind of like, well, what's left, right? And whatever was left was going to play together. And then we had a player get a little bit sick between periods, and now hurdles with Stone. We saw that last year in the playoffs. Didn't go as well as we'd like, but it's a new year now, and I think Hurdle's moving a lot better, so maybe that's a pair. I know Hurdle is good with big wingers. You saw him with Colasar earlier this year, and Nic Roy when we moved one of them out. So anyway, I know I'm getting long, but that's where it all came from, right? Most of them had been together at some point. The Jack and Carly one was a little bit of, let's see how this looks, and I thought they both helped each other.
Did you feel like your 5-on-5 game took even more of a step forward in this game? You do 2 power play goals, but you do get 2 in the game winners at 5-on-5.
Yeah, you got to get going 5-on-5 scoring, right? We've been pretty good at that this year. It hasn't been a deficiency, at least, right? So that's something we're going to need. If you're not getting on the power play tonight, we did. We took advantage of some situations, but they've been scoring 5-on-5, so we have to match that if we expect to win, and we were able to, get going tonight on that, and hopefully it carries over to Game 5.
Can you share who that player was that got sick in between periods?
No, only because I don't know how he's going to be. It was a forward, so that's why we ended up. I'd rather not. I'm not sure why. I just don't feel like telling you, Ken.
Bruce, obviously a lot of emotional swings in any playoff series. 2 is different than 3-1. But the way you guys won today, the comeback, the way Hill played, is there a lot of different vibe with the group right now, kind of how they feel about themselves going to Game 5?
I think so. I think you're jumping on a plane feeling good about yourself, right? And maybe they're jumping on a plane, well, it's not tomorrow, there's an extra day, not, and so that when you get the second end of it, there's a little bit of that emotion, right? So, but at the end of the day, it's 2-2. It's best of 3. We came here thinking, okay, it's a best of 5. We lost home ice. We got it back. It's a best of 3. It's been a hard-fought every inch of ice out there. So that's how I'm looking at it. Emotionally, we're going to enjoy it. But, tomorrow we'll rest and then get back to work on Monday. We need to fix some things. They're doing a good job in some areas that we need to get better at. So we'll focus on that and keep trying to get better every game.
Bruce, I know it's the result you in the back, Bruce. I know it's the result you wanted, but did you see your team game improve from Game 3 to Game 4 and what you were looking for?
I felt we were better, more engaged here than the first 2 games at home. That's probably normal in a playoff series. The animosity builds and urgency level had to be up today. We're down a game. I did. Our offensive game in the O-zone, we're having more puck possession, finding ways to get pucks to the net. I think the first couple games interior ice was hard, and maybe we didn't do enough to try to spread them out and then converge. And that part I'm seeing progress. We're going to need to do it. They do a good job protecting their slot. Neutral zone, how to get through there. They're pretty. They play a pretty predictable 1-2-2 in there in terms of their set. How can we get through there without having to forecheck every time? Can we get some rush chances? If not, where can we place pucks to get them back? We were rimming a lot early on, and I think today we did a better job of mixing up our puck placement off the rush and putting it behind them so that it wasn't always a bump back for them and away they go. Even though we cut some of them off periodically, I think it's better to mix that in. And that gave us more O-zone. I don't know what the numbers were. I know the other night we only spent a couple minutes in our end. But, if they forecheck and throw it to the front of the net like they did on 23's goal, they're not going to have to spend a lot. You know what I mean? We got to do a better job with that. But in general, I thought our numbers are going up in the O-zone, and that's how you get bounces. You throw enough pucks to the net, eventually you do get rewarded. So that was a little bit of what happened tonight, and that is a good thing for our group to buy into, because you've followed us. We like to make the extra pass at times, and sometimes you got to balance your shot attempts versus the East-West plays, and we're doing a better job with that.
Let's now get a player's perspective on Game 4, and we'll start with Golden Knights defenseman Shea Theodore before we then hear from forward Nic Roy.
Shay, what were the discussions? What was the message going into overtime?
Just kind of keep playing. I felt like we were on top of them, and we were kind of limiting their chances. And I think I liked our energy from our group.
How would you describe the third period in general?
Yeah, I thought we played good hockey. We were getting pucks to the net. I felt like we were getting a couple more bounces, and it's good to see some goals going.
You guys have said that, the chances were there. You felt like it was coming. Riley said this game really wasn't that much different than the last 2 that you've played. Is it fitting that you have that bounce that goes off hurdle in the third, and then you have, Barbie scoring the kind of goal that he did as well?
For sure. It seems like those are the bounces that we weren't quite getting the first couple games. So, to have some of those go in and, get some confidence from it, it's going to be big going forward.
How comfortable is this team in these situations because of the experience in the past?
Yeah, I think this time of year experience is a big thing. We have a lot of guys, that are still on the team from when we won. So, kind of taking that and, we've added some great pieces to, continue building that. And, I think just experience, we like where we're at.
What's been the mood the last couple of days in the room? Seems like it's been a very serious mindset. You guys obviously didn't like how the way Game 3 went, but what's the vibe been like the last 24 minutes?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely serious. I think, this was a pivotal game, for our group to kind of turn it around and, kind of just get rewarded for, the play that, we felt like we were having. So, this was a big game for us, and, it's good to go home.
Did you feel like the way you guys played, you kind of almost like make those bounces go your way? You like force the game to give you that luck?
Yeah, we were on our toes the whole night. It seemed like, we didn't really fall back, and I didn't think we really gave up much. So, we're looking to continue that for, Game 5.
Even the responses, like after your goal, they come back and score. After Hurdle's goal, they come back less than a minute. You guys have been in those situations before, but how crucial was it to kind of stay even keel as the game went on?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the experience, we're kind of done with, letting that continue. Obviously it sucks to get scored on right after, but, it's the next man up, next group out there, get it in the O-zone and just continue the pressure. So, I thought we did a great job.
And for you, just personally getting that goal after the last few games, just how good was that to get that?
For sure. Trying to get some confidence. It seems like sometimes in playoffs, it seems like nothing goes right and, a couple bounces here and there. And, so I'm happy to turn it around and, get one on the board.
They really shortened their bench towards the end of the game. Did you feel as overtime went on, maybe there was an advantage coming because of how long it went and how short they were?
Yeah, I mean, talking to the guys after, it felt like we could have went for another overtime. We felt fresh. We felt ready to go. And, I think that just shows the work that we put in, off the ice for, the last couple weeks gearing up for it. And, we're ready for a long stretch.
Perspective on the game-winning goal.
I think we jumped pretty good on the face-off there, kind of a bubble puck, and Smitty, nice puck protection there. And those overtime goals are usually not that pretty. It's usually hard work, and it was one of those. Barbie was there the net, and good to have that one for sure.
What part of this game are you most proud of?
I mean, it was never a panic when they scored that goal right after we scored ours. We didn't change our game. I think we stuck with it, and I think overall we played pretty good tonight.
Is that power play, the 4-minute one, is that the ultimate definition of sticking with it? First 3 minutes were rough, and then suddenly the puck lands on your stick, and suddenly the momentum of the game shifts.
Yeah, I mean, it only takes one play in playoffs like this, right? It's momentum, swings, and whatever happens, we stuck with it, and like you said, we found a way to get one there.
So much of what happened, you kind of survived the last two games a little bit in this game. Is it because of experience that with all you've been through, you understand that it can change at any moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the playoffs. I think we had a lot of chances today. We spent a lot of time in the offensive zone. They got their chances. We got our chances. Team did a really good job there in overtime when I got my 2 minutes. So I think overall we had a really good game.
Is it more of a wake-up call when the lines get blended up like that, and how do you guys kind of adjust? I mean, it's not the first time, but in that kind of situation.
Yeah, obviously 5-on-5. Like I said, before that we had our chances, but we couldn't quite bury it or get our bounces. But it changed the perspective, the game a little bit when you change the lines. So it was a good change for sure.
On your goal, I would think the instinct would be to rush because there's so many people around you, and you kind of set it for a second, got it back on your forehand. Like, what's that battle like in your head, time and space?
There was a shot from Pavel there on the side there, and it was kind of a rebound, and it was kind of bouncing a little bit there in the slot. And usually in those moments, a little bit it's kind of scrambling, trying to block shot. So I saw there was a little bit of space, and I took it.
Golden Knights happy after their Game 4 performance, and now the series again is tied at 2, heading back to Vegas for Game 5 on Tuesday. And we do know now that Game 5 will drop the puck at 6:30 Pacific time. Mark that down, 6:30 Pacific time on Tuesday, Game 5 between the Knights and the Wild at T-Mobile Arena. That'll just about wrap things up for today's show. Thank you as always for tuning into VGK Today, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe on your preferred podcast platform, as we'll be back almost every day throughout the Knights' 2025 Stanley Cup playoff run with new episodes, and that is only because we're taking the day off tomorrow. The Golden Knights settling back into Vegas after Game 4. They're going to have a limited day on the ice, so we're going to give some of the broadcasters a rest, and hey, I'll take a rest myself for one day before we're then back for Tuesday ahead of Game 5 to preview that one between the Knights and the Wild. So we'll see you then on VGK Today, and until then, Justin Russo signing off.